DJ LeRoy.
NightWatchman, how you doing, buddy?
I'm well, man. I'm well. Like I said, I've sacrificed the fatted calf to the gods of technology, and we're about to have the smoothest show we ever had, guaranteed.
All right, I'm loving it. Now, I've never heard that before. I'm hearing this for the first time. So, as they say, DJ NightWatchman, take it away.
All right, I might have an asterisk like those drug commercials, might cause dizziness, headaches, but we're gonna keep you all from getting dizzy. Let's get right into it. So,
all right,
we have a name and a name you need to know. The name you already know, the Funk Dr. Spock, Redman. He's coming in here along with Sephida Artis-Mills. They're both from the United Empowerment Party, also formerly known as the National Cannabis Party. Right. And we're here to talk about cannabis, politics, the power of hip hop, and anything else we feel like we want to get into in this Soul Lounge Primetime experience. So welcome to Soul Lounge Primetime.
Yes. And NightWatchman, hold it. You did not tell man that if he's coming on Soul Lounge Primetime, always got to share the product. I share.
Okay, well. No, I
man,
she said, share the love, share the wealth.
Okay.
And then gave us the back of the bag. Yeah, exactly. We're like, nah, no free promo. They got to cut a check.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Well, we would have.
Well, NightWatchman, why don't you start us off?
Okay.
Start us off. Go ahead, buddy.
First of all, I want to start with Sephida, and I want you to tell us a little bit about how you all got started with the National Empowerment, or it was National Cannabis Party, now United Empowerment Party. So let's start us at the beginning of the road.
Okay. Yes. So we started January 26th of 2021. Not having any clue or idea of how things were going to transpire, just putting it out there, going through the registration for the FEC, the Federal Elections Commission, and hoping for the best, and then getting an email stating that we were officially a party. And it was like, okay, celebration, all kinds of, excitement, then reality sinks in and you're like, okay, now what? Because it's never been done before. And then you have a political party that is specifically focused on cannabis policy and legislation. And then also having cannabis in the name, which was something that people were like, there's no way. No, there's no way they're going to allow that. So to have something like that and then make a major announcement several months later during Red and Meth's versus that happened on 420 in 2021, which was the verses that kicked off a lot of things. It was the verses where people got a full show, like they performed, like they put on a show during that verses. And then to have Red pull out a piece of paper and then start to talk about National Cannabis Party while there were like hundreds of thousands of people watching. I don't even remember the number. It was a ridiculous number of people that were watching and tuning in, and then seeing the comments go crazy, and then seeing my phone start blowing up like literally minutes later, because people were just like, wait, what did I just hear? There's a party for cannabis now. So there was so many questions and just so much that people wanted to understand. And then so many people that wanted to get involved and help, because we saw that here's an industry that's making billions of dollars a year, billions of dollars in tax revenue, and yet people are still in prison. We're still seeing a lot of injustices that have still yet to be rectified, seeing legislation and policy that is not sound, still seeing this plant weaponized against specific groups and people, and then just seeing that there are people making decisions that do not know and understand what's really going on and what's happening. So there was so much that we needed to cover, yet we didn't even know where to start. We just said, we're doing it, and we'll learn as we go along. We'll consult with other people that are much smarter than us and that have been doing it longer than us. We'll ask questions. We'll, do the research, everything that we possibly can to get to a point where we feel like we're breaking ground and that we're making progress. So that's where it started. And fast forward all the way till today, we've gotten a lot done in 3 years, which January 26th of this year made 3 years. And we're really proud of that because we have literally operated on a small but mighty team, and with a lot of help and collaboration from people in the community and in the space.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you know what? I basically got to ask. So, Redman, certainly we've known you in hip hop culture, forefront, some of the collabs that you've had with artists, you name it. But I never knew that also the cannabis space was something that you were also interested in. So tell me about your journey. What excited you about getting in that?
It was simply obedience, kind of what got me into it. Like I told sis, know I explain this in every interview. Like I wanted to get money through cannabis, through white labeling. That's what all the artists do. They put their names on a white label and say it's their strain. I wanted to get into it, but for some reason, God didn't align me up with the right people to do it. I mean, there were all types of opportunities thrown my way, but for some reason, I just never got into it because it's like, why wouldn't I go make some extra money? Like I could have been making like 500 grand or 400 grand, maybe even 50 grand here and there selling white label products under my name. But for some reason, God has held me back from that. And I didn't understand why back then, because like I was offered these opportunities in the early 2000s. And
wow.
And I was, all right, this is a product, a plant that I've been representing all my life. My music, especially through the 90s when it wasn't even heard of far as being legalized and whatever. You might as well say cannabis was crack in the 90s. And I went through those tribes and tribulations of me not being able to get certain business deals because I smoke cannabis. So I stood 10 toes down for this plant, but I didn't understand why I was doing it. So I took a class in Amsterdam University out there in Cali to get my degree in cannabis and licensed patient consultant, but it still didn't allow me to understand, all right, what is my bigger picture, that I'm not endorsing other cannabis products, that I'm not white labeling. I was like, God, what do you have me waiting on? And then it wasn't until I met my sis and Big Bro that put me on. Shout out to Damon, Damon Johnson that brought us all together with sis. He started the National Cannabis Party, and I didn't even know that you can start a cannabis party like a Democratic party. But it wasn't until I started learning from Sephida the unjust, the communities that's being affected still by war on drugs, that's not being serviced the right way, especially by these cannabis dispensaries. And I was like, wow, God, this is what you have me waiting on all this time, to be a part of a party that I don't get money from, but still support it. And I had to make a choice. Do I go the route that all the rappers are doing, white labeling, putting their name on a product that they're not even growing from the ground originally or authentically? Or do I go fight for the people that's being unjustly turned back and unjustly treated unfairly because of this product? And I chose this one, my sis. And am I happy to be here? Yes. because I'm actually making a fucking difference in the world, what we're doing.
Gotcha. Perfect. All right. Yes. Night Watchman. So
So,
bottom line, go ahead, Night Watchman. Take it.
well, all right. So I want to kick it back to Sephida now,
Uh-huh.
and I want you to bring it up to where we are today, which is what's going on in the political space that's so important, because what
Yes.
you guys have been working for 3 years, but now things have picked up. We're in an election year,
Yep.
and things are starting to happen. So if you can kind of give us a sense of what's the most important thing on the table right now in terms of national cannabis policy.
What's most important on the table right now is descheduling. I know
Okay,
there
yes.
is a lot of talk about rescheduling to a Schedule 3, which would mean it would open cannabis for further research and development. But then comes the question, who is going to be overseeing and controlling that research and development? And who's going to be the one that is going to set what licensing looks like going forward? Who's going to be the ones that's going to govern that? And we know that the FDA would be instrumental in that process. We also know that if the FDA is instrumental in that process, that also brings big pharma into the
Mm,
equation, because they not
yes,
only have
yes,
the resources and the capital, but they do have the political power because they have lobbyists that lobby for what they want. And
yes.
we have never had that in cannabis, to where we have someone that is lobbying, or someone that is going to the hill and doing lobby days and being that representation and that voice for the people. And these industries do. So when you're talking about rescheduling, you're talking about something that could potentially change everything in the industry. Does that mean that people will now need a prescription?
Mm,
The case,
mm-hmm.
and that brings in big pharma and all of the top, pharmacies
Yes, yes,
now
indeed.
able to prescribe. And then of course the doctors that will have to then be acclimated to that. And there's so much infrastructure that I believe that we believe will change, and that won't be a positive change. And then there's descheduling, and descheduling means to completely remove cannabis as a Schedule 1 controlled substance. And descheduling is the only answer, and is why we say deschedule, not reschedule, because think of the immediate solutions that come from that, or the immediate things that will happen if when it's descheduled, is completely decriminalized.
Mm,
So
mm,
now it is no longer a crime. And you're talking
mm-hmm.
about, it immediately becomes federally legal, because if it's not scheduled at all, then it's just like any other agricultural product or any other commodity that we see in other industries and business. Then you also have interstate commerce that will open up. So now there's no barriers to where people can do business. Now people don't have to worry about, if they cross over state lines, that they can potentially get arrested and go to jail because they took cannabis into another state. Whether that state is legal or not does not matter. If you cross state lines, you
Mm,
have committed a crime, even if you
yes,
are a medical patient. And it's things like that and education like that that is needed. And there's so many other things that will happen with cannabis being descheduled. Of course, it is going to impact the way business is done. Of course, it may change, even, of course, the taxation for one. I think that would
yes.
be a positive benefit to the taxation, because taxes are extremely high to the point where it's pushing businesses out, and those
Mm,
that receive licenses that under, the guise of equity, that are
mm,
failing miserably because they've been set up to fail systemically because of the way that they are taxed, and also understanding that they didn't really have the capital to begin with to
yeah.
get a license and to open for business. So there's so many different things that apply to descheduling that we can see positive benefits, and there may be some things people see as a negative, because they feel that, what is going to happen to my business when people can just bring cannabis from any other state? It's like you're going to
Yes.
do
Yes.
any other business. You're going to
Mhm.
compete. You're going
Yeah.
to make sure that your business thrives. But in this industry, because it's so community driven and because it's so rich in culture, we have
Mhm.
the ability to do what other industries may not, and that is work together and collaborate to where we can all be successful in this space because of the way that this plant brings so many people together. And I always call cannabis the great unifier for that reason. And
Mhm.
because of that alone, why the people is so instrumental in pushing this messaging and this narrative to deschedule. Because what is the point of it being scheduled as a Schedule 1 when that
Mhm.
is classified as something that has zero medical benefit and is highly
Yes.
addictive? We know
Mm.
two of those things are not true. And we know
Correct.
that if it has no medical benefit, how did the industry even begin becoming
Mhm.
legalized except through medical? So how is it medical, but also still having no medical benefit according to what a Schedule 1 is described as? And then seeing that things like fentanyl
Yeah. Well,
is a Schedule
yes.
2.
Oh yes. Oh
And
yes.
then you have opioids that are clearly killing people and that people are suffering from overdoses that are like Schedule 3s and 4s. And then you have lean
Mm.
that is a Schedule 5.
Wow.
All of
Wow.
those far more dangerous, far more addictive, and lethal. No one has
Mm.
ever lost their life from cannabis. So just all of those things are all the reasons that we say deschedule, not reschedule, and deschedule now, deschedule only, that
Mm.
all of those things, because there is no other solution in our eyes.
Incredible.
Yeah,
That was fantastic, fantastic. And you know what? I have to ask this question because you touched on it there in terms of equity. So certainly we have, of course, here in New York State, but then Redman, we got, of course, Phil Murphy there in Jersey. So do tell me the rollout of legal or adult use cannabis. How has it been there? Let's say in Jersey, man. Do we see equity, and what does that mean for Black and Brown communities?
I think honestly that far as the East Coast,
Mm,
the rules and regulations is still being touched on and being worked on. It's not fully there yet where everyone is happy. Like we're not even able to grow our own cannabis
wow.
yet, and
Mm,
that is a big problem in Jersey. Uh,
mm.
to not be able to grow your own plant, not be able to grow your own medicine.
Wow.
But
Mm.
we did implement a program. Sis will talk about in a second that will help our Black and Brown culture to get into, to learn about the properties of cannabis, the business of it,
Hmm.
and also help you sustain a license and also give you grants to run your own business. So we are trying to help our culture. Anyone that want to get into cannabis, period, that want to do the right thing by cannabis, that want to spread the love, that also look at it as medicine and not look at it just as recreational. Um,
Mm.
we implemented a
Hmm.
program that's going to help people understand how to sustain a license, because we all know a lot of businesses is setting people up to fail just so they can
Mm.
say throw that word equity,
Mm.
social equity on that. Social equity word is such a pain in the ass, and
Yes.
it's like the welfare word of the cannabis industry. And my sister came up with the saying equity empowerment. So what we
Mm.
want to do is empower the people to learn more about the business of it, so we can have a strong. The whole meaning of the cannabis of a UEP is not just to deschedule and want to get it there. We want to galvanize everyone,
Hmm.
to educate them about the industry of it and the plant itself, right? And once
Hmm.
we all understand it, we can make our own rules and regulations and put someone in the chair that will understand the not only the properties of cannabis, but what's going on in the communities with different with our culture in cannabis.
Yes.
And
Mm.
as far as Jersey right now, I
Hmm.
believe we're like right here. Like we're
Okay.
like we can either go here or here.
Uh-huh.
Like, and it's
Mm.
on the line, but it's so many great people in Jersey that's putting in the work to help us sustain this industry the right way. Because we all know the East Coast is the new West Coast. We the wild, wild west. And we're actually learning. We're actually learning what the West Coast didn't do. And trying to not do it and go a different route. So in Jersey, it's still here. It's still a little unbalanced, but we're not suffering. We're learning. But can it be a lot more tentative to what the people want? Yes. Can it be more tentative with the rules and regulations of getting this license, sustaining a license? Yes. That's why we implemented our program. Since what is the technical assistant program?
Yes.
The first program of its kind, and it started in New Jersey. And what it does is allowing people to take a class, right, and learn about cannabis and the business of it, and sustaining a license, and also giving out grants to $150,000 to $250,000 worth of grants to help you along with your business. And I believe if we have more of these programs around the states and around the cannabis industry and the communities, the cannabis industry will thrive. And it will thrive with people actually being educated, not setting them up for failure, like the laws. Some of the laws they had in some of the programs they had in New York.
Wow!
Pouring people licenses and they not know what to do with it, and they know they setting them up for failure because they're not educated to sustain a license. So yeah, we're gonna throw y'all these licenses. Say we throwing social equity, we giving y'all your social equity like y'all want, but we know y'all gonna fail in 6 months because y'all don't know how to sustain the building that you're gonna put your business in. It's all a big game, bro. So so check it, like Sis can fill you more in on what we did in Jersey, but it's called a technical assistance program. And it's the first one of its kind, and it started in Jersey.
It's the first one of its kind. Why? I just want to add because it's the first and only legacy to legal program in the country. So it is a program that allows legacy operators. So those that were operating in the gray areas and those that were growing and selling and distributing prior to legalization, giving them the opportunity to transition into the legal space, which is super important because they have skills and know-how and them understanding the do's and don'ts and how to properly grow, how to properly create products, and all of these things that we can't afford to lose because somebody has grown a particular strain or cultivar that could be the answer to a disease that we don't even know could be a solution for. So having a program like that empowers legacy is important, and it's something that every state should do. So that's why New Jersey did something so unique, because it is the only program that allows legacy operators to transition into the legal space with the proper tools and resources, including education, mentorship, development, and grant money, to where they can start off not owing and being able to have funds that's going to allow them to establish their business the right way and have the coaching and the mentoring that's going to be essential to them to understand how to sustain their business and how to be able to create the wealth that they're looking to create and establish in their communities so that they can rebuild them, because the communities that have been disproportionately harmed and impacted by prohibition and the war on drugs are the communities that are getting the least amount of support in this industry.
Wow. And NightWatchman, I'm like, I had to take a step back because when Redman was coming out with that fire about Jersey, there was no comeback. I mean, like Chris Alexander and the, New York State Office of Cannabis Management, do they not know about this, man? Talk.
All right. Well, that's a whole nother, we could do a whole nother show on that, and probably will, but we'll just suffice to say that the rollout has been more complicated. And one of the complications is that there's really 3 markets. There is the new legal market. There's what we call the legacy market. And then there is also what I call the interlopers. So the interlopers are the unlicensed stores that have popped up, and are outpacing all of the legal stores. And the thing about the interlopers is that these are not the legacy market are what we call friends of the plant. They believe in the plant.
Yes.
They believe in the safety of it. There's, the thing about the legacy market is, and for anybody who has been smoking for any particular period of time, there's never been problems with the health and safety from the legacy market. That we don't have problems from it because those people, they care about what they put out. They care about their product. And Curtis, as you well know, when we've had legacy operators on the show before, they would tell us how they would get rid of a whole crop rather than sell weed that would
some garbage. Yeah.
So the legacy market, we know, they have the knowledge and experience that we need to actually bring this industry forward, because they're the only ones who really know how to grow it. We had some of the multi-state operator interlopers who got a lot of money behind them, but they didn't really know how to grow, and some of them have already stumbled and are falling. But these interlopers, they've been able to come out and put product out there that has metals and all types of health problems in it, and so that's thrown a wrench in it, and the OCM has had a hard time dealing with it, and we'll get back to that and talk about it. Governor Hochul is talking about stepping up enforcement and all that. We'll see how that plays out, but in the meantime, what we need concern with is making sure that people can have a place in this industry. And I want to go back to the history. There's a history behind this descheduling and how it got scheduled. And I want to, before we do that, I want to play a clip. This clip is from Ava DuVernay's documentary called The 13th, and it tells us kind of how we got here.
Nixon administration official has admitted that the war on drugs was all about throwing black people in jail. He said, quote, "The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people." You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black. But by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did.
Wow. So that quote is from John Ehrlichman. Anybody who remembers or knows or studied about Watergate, he was one of them. If you listen to Gil Scott-Heron, he talks about Ehrlichman, Haldeman, Mitchell, indeed. It follows a pattern, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And so that got codified in what they call the Controlled Substances Act, which was the act that created this scheduling. And as Sephida broke down, how is it that fentanyl, which has been, until COVID came, fentanyl was the number one killer of Americans for years running, and fentanyl and Oxycontin and all these other opioids are lower on the schedule than marijuana, which has never killed anyone. There's no deaths. The death toll is zero from cannabis. The health toll is high on cannabis. So it shows us that the schedule was not about health. It's always been about politics. So the question that we have is, why are we still holding on to failed Nixon era politics and policies in 2024? It doesn't make any sense.
Right. Anybody take that?
I think when it comes to politics, which is one of the very reasons that we started this, is because it has to change. Politics as we know it has to change. It has not served the people. It has not had the people's best interests at heart. It has been selfish, self-serving agendas that we have seen play out, and that we have seen make people super rich. We've seen it, when it comes to the wars and the companies that benefit, and you start to go down the rabbit hole and follow the money, and you realize that it was all done by design. and to understand that it is a system, and it's a system that has been used to get certain people in positions of power so that they can maintain a level of power, influence, and wealth. And because of that, we have to have a counter. We have to have representation in these offices so that they truly represent the people and they come from the communities that they're governing and that they actually care. So for us, we feel having a party where we can galvanize a massive amount of people, understanding that over 70% of Americans agree with cannabis legalization, and over 110 million registered voters are in support of cannabis. So even if we took just 10% of those people, that's a massive amount of people that you can then take and swing elections where you can direct votes in any direction you want based off of who you're supporting and you're standing behind. And the only reason why we continue to see this two-party system not work is because we haven't seen one that has been strong enough and impactful enough to be able to infiltrate and be able to be that bridge between the two and say, shift this focus back to what it originally was supposed to be about, and that's the people. And because politics are not about people and only power, this is why we have a problem. And that's why we felt that creating this party allows us the opportunity to choose who we want in office. And it also gives us the opportunity to remind the people, you are the power. You are the people that place them in office. And you should also be the people that make them accountable after you have gotten them elected, because we vote and we walk away when that's not what should be happening. We should be breathing down their necks and making sure they're doing what they have promised. They pander every election year, every single time. They pander, they make promises, and they break them every time.
So, Sephida, are you telling me that every 4 years suddenly they show up?
Hell yeah.
Yes, and everybody panders. Now let's be real. They always pander to the black vote. And I'm not, and this is just the reality. And so many times we get caught up in that, you know, the shaking hands and kissing babies and telling people everything they want to hear, only to get in office and then turn your back on those same people. And now you don't have any comment. Now you don't want to respond. Now you don't have anything to say. But every single voter that writes emails or calls any elected official, by law, they have to respond. So if thousands and thousands of us start doing that and some literally bombarding them and rushing, these letters all saying the same thing, it's going to get attention, because who's going to want to respond to all of them? But they have to, because then you have the opportunity to say, okay, they didn't even respond. They don't even care about the people that they govern. So if you're going to govern me, I'm going to make sure that you're doing a good job. And I'm going to make sure that my needs and my concerns are addressed, because you are there for me. It's not the other way around. And I think we've forgotten that. And we've forgotten what politics is supposed to be. Not the politics we see, but we need to create politics that is something that where we create a culture where it's about the people, and that the people are driving the decisions because they're holding these elected officials accountable.
Absolutely. And you know what? I want to actually say something, because I was thinking about the fact that, you know, we have definitely this cultural divide. We also have, of course, the political divide, no doubt about it. And so I thought that the Repubs were identified with law and order, right? The whole big thing. That's what they were big on. And then suddenly I remember this one guy who was I guess, the Speaker of the House. And that, of course, was John Boehner, right? And so when John Boehner got out of politics, didn't he suddenly go to a cannabis growing position that is all right for the economics, like Redman? I guess all money is green on some level, huh? And they identify with that when it's convenient.
All money is, especially with politics, like Sis said, it's like when it comes to money, when it comes to just votes, you know, they use this cannabis industry as a stepping stone. And honestly, like it don't take a rocket scientist to start figuring that out. Like I'm nearly not as educated as my sister, but I do know from being in the cannabis industry and being a legacy and learning about it politically, that these politicians just use it as a stepping stone. Everyone, you look, man, the liquor industry got their shit together, right? They know the right palms degrees. They know the right people to pay to keep the liquor industry thriving. Just like sugar, like sugar, like there's politics in sugar, but they know the right people to they know the right people to grease. They know the right, there's the shake. They know the right people to pay that green to that you just mentioned to keep the business thriving. It's like we're the only ones. We are, even the tobacco industry. They're paying money to stop us, but they know the right people to throw that green to. They know the right hands to shake. We're the only industry that don't have it together because we haven't galvanized as one unit, and that is what UEP is about. So of course it's always going to be about the green, especially when we're all divided. They know they got us all divided. They know that in order for us to come together, we're going to need something like UEP or somewhere where we state our ground, just like Republican Democratic Party. They know we have it, but it hasn't grown yet to stop it. So the green will continually win. The green will continually win. The politicians will continue to use this cannabis industry as a stepping stone to get voted in. And like Sis said, they get in there and don't hold their word. And that's what we're here for. So yes, back to your question, the green will sustainably always win until we get it together as an industry.
Okay. Go ahead, NightWatchman.
So let's talk about how we win, and let's talk about the opportunity for United Empowerment Party. So strength in numbers, borrow that from the Warriors. Strength in numbers comes from voting. And strength in voting comes from not just showing up every 4 years for the presidential election, but it also shows up in showing for your local, your state. You know, if somebody's running for dog catcher, you want to know what is that person's policy on cannabis. You know, So how can UEP empower people to get people to, number one, register to vote? Because even registering to vote is a power move, because those numbers are recorded. And how does UEP start to get people to represent the interests nationwide? And the thing about cannabis is it's a uniting topic, because it's not just a black issue, it's not just a white issue. Everybody uses it. It's also one of the few industries right now that is actually growing. Every other industry is kind of flat and declining. AI is killing jobs. AI is not going to get rid of jobs in the cannabis. The cannabis industry is going to continue to go up. So you have something where you talk about money. Well, you know, cannabis industry means money. It means jobs. It means equity. It means starting of businesses. So how do we translate these gains into people registering to vote and ultimately voting in their own interests? And I'll throw that to Sephida.
I think that using every opportunity where there will be a massive amount of people present is an opportunity to get people to register to vote, especially on an issue that they all agree on. And partnering with different organizations, like you have Rock the Vote out there, you have Headcount, other organizations that do voter registration. And so when we are always open to partnering up and working with these organizations as well, because now you have someone that already has the platform. We join together with them, and then we get all of those people at a national cannabis festival that could have 20 to 30,000 people to be registered to vote, or a MJ BizCon, or MJ Unpacked, or any Emerald conferences, any one of these large cannabis events that has tens of thousands of people Now you have the opportunity to activate all of those people. Then you have the opportunity to meet the community where they are and explain to them and educate them on the power of their vote. I tell everyone to look at their vote as currency. Every
Yeah.
single vote counts. It's like counting multiple dollars per individual person, because every person that is elected into office usually leaves that office much wealthier than they were before, because of the things that they're able to do, the things they're able to leverage. Whoever, like my brother said, greasing the right palms and people coming to them, knowing that they
Mm-hmm.
have interest in, say, even real estate development project. Now this person is a city councilman, or this person is a state senator,
Mm-hmm.
and now you go into that person, you're like, if you do this and you make sure this gets approved, you make sure we get the zoning, now what happens? It's things like that that are literally happening all the time. There are
Mm-hmm.
backdoor deals, as I call them, happening all the time, because people who are in office, people can go to them for what they want by being able to present, whether it's money, opportunity, equity into something. Of course, they have to do it in a way where it can't be traced, but usually it's always a way to find it. That's why they tell people to follow the money. If you go to
Mm-hmm.
opensecrets.org, you can literally find where all the money goes in every single one of these PACs, or political action committees, these super PACs, these, state and local committees that literally are raising money, like tens and millions of dollars, that are able to then take that money and serve their own personal interests. So I feel that being able to galvanize people in areas where they're already going to be is key to getting a mass
Mm-hmm.
people registered, and then being able to do things virtually, being able to do your own town halls, whether you set it up with your local officials, or if you just do something where you just go into the community and you get people started and you get people to go ahead and register, which is why we have a register to vote link on our website, because now it gives people the opportunity to check and see if they're registered to vote, and no matter what state they're in. And then when they see that they're not, they can go ahead and register and show people that it only takes maybe 4 or 5 minutes for you to,
Mm.
because there's a lot of people that are undecided, and that are not registered. So imagine how
Yes.
many people we can capture if we go that route. And I think
Right.
there's so many different opportunities to do that. And I know everywhere that Greg goes, he also talks about it. And he also tells people, go to the site, make sure you can check and see if you're registered to vote. Because it's really
Absolutely.
important for us to capture those people while they're there. While you have 20, 30,000 plus people there, get as many as you can registered, because like you said, those numbers matter and someone sees those numbers.
Excellent. You know what? I know you guys are not soothsayers or fortune tellers, okay? So, in our lifetime, will we see a descheduling and or a okay, Redman, I see, okay. And will we also then, having said that, then will see legal cannabis coast to coast in America, that it will be federally no longer illegal to use it and transport it across state lines.
I think so.
Okay.
I definitely think so. I tell you what we won't see in our lifetime, and this is what I learned from going to Amsterdam University. We will not see the full potential of what the cannabis plant can serve. Like
Wow.
we see like maybe 5 to 6 components of cannabis, like from CBD, CBN, THC, and all those properties. And it's maybe like 5 to 7 of those properties that we see, and that we can contest to, that is good for the soul and the body. But there's over 400 components to this cannabis plant that I've
Wow.
learned that we will never see in our lifetime, not even in our kids' lifetime, unless we just have extreme, like advanced equipment that will push the studies even further than what we can do now in the later years. Far as the scheduling, I believe so. I believe that this is something that all. Here's the thing. My thing is, we need to go back to what we said in the beginning. There's powers in numbers, and the only way we can make a difference is if we all come together. This whole thing is about unity. It's about the plant, giving the plant back to the people. That is our motto. That is what UEP is about. We're about giving the plant back to the people. But we can't give the plant back if we don't unify. And we're over 160 million cannabis voters. We can take over this shit if we really just say, you know what? Let's just give it a shot. Let's all just register to vote, and let's follow a specific program that we can all be obtainable to and agree on. And like, yes, this will work for legacy and MSOs. But then again, you might have some MSOs that's fighting what we're trying to do because they know they're letting the mom and pops come in to be competitive, and letting actually anybody off the street to be competitive, and not knowing that, like we said earlier, like the legacy is the ones we need to learn from. So why not? If when we do these MJ Biz, and like sis said it a long time ago, which made a lot of sense too. Like, instead of just offering or raising the ticket price of like these events, let's make it affordable that someone legacy can come off the street and come and learn and actually give their testimony on what's going on that level, and make it interested in them to want to vote. Because I'm a real nigga at the end of the day, and it's a lot of dudes don't register to vote because they don't want to get caught into having to come in for jury duty or any of that shit. So it plays a long role on trying to get the word across, and that's my job. Like, my sister's so highly intelligent to speak on presidential levels. Me, I speak in layman terms for dudes like me that don't know that they're legacy. A lot of people don't even know that they're legacy. They don't even know the terms. So once we get all that together, everybody start learning their position, I think we can really see a big difference in seeing this cannabis plant descheduled, then later on legalized, with no boundaries from state to state. Traveling with it won't be a problem. Just like any liquor or just like any tobacco, you can fly with a pack of cigarettes. Why not fly with a pack of cannabis?
Wow. Good one.
Yeah.
NightWatchman, what you got?
Well, yeah. I mean, I just want to respond to that. I think you hit the nail on the head. And I think, you talk about, playing the position, and that's exactly what we need, because we need people to understand there's a reason to go out and vote. The reason to register to vote is because they don't want you to, they don't want you to have the strength in numbers, but we already saw from the last few elections that the strength in numbers does make a difference. But now we have an opportunity to bring it in on a specific topic that we all can agree upon, that will help everybody. And we have to talk about the people who are harmed by this thing scheduling staying in place. You're talking about people in NYCHA housing who could lose their place to live for smoking a joint, or even if that joint is to help with cancer or help with autism. So, and we haven't talked about Sephida, we haven't talked about your history and medical cannabis. So I want to drop in with that and just tell us a little bit about your journey with how cannabis has had a profound impact on your family life.
Yes, absolutely. So first, I always say, first and foremost, cannabis is medicine. Regardless of how it's segregated in the market between adult use and medical, we're talking about the same plant. It's not a different plant. When we talk about hemp, it comes from the same plant. So giving people the understanding of why we need to amplify the medical use and medicinal properties of cannabis, as well as educating people on why they are medicating and not just simply getting high, as everybody
Mm.
speaks of, because people are self-medicating for specific reasons. Sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
it helps them sleep, or it helps them with anxiety or depression. It helps give them an appetite because they may be battling cancer and going through chemotherapy. There's so many different uses of this plant, and I was able to discover one of those uses as cannabis being instrumental in reducing the likelihood of organ rejection.
Wow. Yes.
My daughter is 6 years old now. She turned 6 on Tuesday.
God
And
bless.
thank you. And my daughter was born with congenital heart disease. And her congenital heart defect that she was born with was called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. So what that means in layman's terms is that the left side of her heart did not develop. And either in those cases, it either doesn't develop at all, or it's severely underdeveloped to where the function of the heart is very limited. And of course, that the left side of your heart is very essential to pumping oxygenated blood to the throughout the body, from the lungs to throughout the central nervous system, and your liver, your kidneys. Like, every system in your body needs oxygen rich blood in order for you to survive. The moment that you are not getting 100% of oxygen saturation throughout your body, that is when things begin to die. So
Yes.
for a healthy person, like, all of us here, if you were to take a pulse oximeter, your O2 sat, or oxygen saturation, would be 100%. For children who are born with congenital heart disease, especially with what my daughter was born with, you're talking about 60 to maybe 70%, which is
Wow. Wow.
very, very low and very, very dangerous. Without medical intervention, that child would die. So my daughter, I was told on a scale of 1 to 10 that her condition was a 9, and that
Mm.
on top of her being hypoplastic, she had mitral valve atresia and a VSD, which is called ventricular septal defect. So she had a hole in her heart, and she had regurgitation where the blood was flowing backwards into
Mm.
the lungs and then throughout the body. So it caused a lot of swelling. It caused for her heart to, she had a very rapid heartbeat. So she had to take medication to keep her alive, and that would sustain her after she had her first open heart surgery at just 3 days old. And then she went to do the second stage of 3 surgeries that she was supposed to have by the time she would turn 4 years old. And that's when they learned that she had early heart failure.
Oh my God. Wow.
And so
Mm.
it went from a second stage surgery to now doctors talking to me and my husband about the possibility of her needing a full heart transplant. And you're
Mm.
talking about a baby at the time that was only 5 months old.
Wow.
So already being in the industry and just doing research, not knowing what to do, not understanding how my life was about to completely change, because I knew that once she would be transplanted, she would be immunocompromised, because she would have to
Mhm.
take immunosuppressant anti-rejection drugs that are very dangerous over time. The side effects from anti-rejection drugs can cause cancer. They can cause other heart issues, and they can cause brain damage and damage to your central nervous system.
Mm.
And so, just knowing that, I kept saying to myself, there has to be something that I can
Yes.
has to be something I can find. And that's when I found the study that the University of South Carolina had done. And there's other studies that have been done as well about how cannabis helps to reduce organ rejection. So I started using CBD and CBG
Mm-hmm.
for my daughter, using CBD first and then transitioning into using both CBD and CBG in high concentrations. And I had to teach myself how to properly microdose my own child, because I had no blueprint.
Yeah,
No,
and Sephida, how was it introduced to your child? How'd you do it?
through tincture.
Gotcha,
Yes,
gotcha.
through tincture. So I didn't have to put it in her juice. I didn't have to find a way to get her to take it. It's like she just already knew. She was very good with taking it, and I just saw an immediate change and difference in her and how much it has improved her quality of life.
Beautiful.
And it's why I fight so hard for this.
Wow.
This is very
Absolutely.
important to me. It's important to so many other mothers because
Yes.
a lot of women right now, especially Black women who don't know this process, who have no idea how
Yes.
this is going to change their life, are suffering in silence because they are not being educated on these things. You do not find out about this unless your child has it. And that needs to change. And cannabis needs to be readily made available to pediatric patients, because we talk about medical patients, but we don't talk about how many of those medical patients are children that need it. And
Yes.
still we're still fighting for that. We're still fighting for that to happen. The reason why it's legal is because of the mothers that decided to move their children halfway and their families halfway across the country to Colorado and California, because it was the only thing that worked, because they had children that were seizing several times a day, violent seizures, and the only thing that worked was cannabis. So what are we even talking about? What are we even arguing about anymore? Because I can guarantee you can stand me in front of every politician and none of them would tell me that they'll let their child die before they give them cannabis.
Wow. Yes. Incredible. Sephida, incredible story for sure. So that is certainly divine intervention, no doubt about it. Sure.
Absolutely.
Well, so what we're seeing is the urgency, and one of the reasons why Sephida is so compelling, because she puts the real. You get to see this is not just it's this issue affects people's lives. It has been affecting people's lives for generations now, and we have to put a stop to it now. And so that's why when we're talking about descheduling, your question, are we going to see it in our lifetime? We're telling we need to see it now.
Yes.
Deschedule now, not reschedule now.
Absolutely.
And so,
Yes.
what United Empowerment Party is doing as we run up to 420, to be able to put this message out every time they get in front of people, including, she mentioned big events. Let's talk about the National Cannabis Festival.
Okay.
That's your cue, Sephida.
What, Red? You headlining? You headlining over there, and you just let me throw it on over here.
Well, that's what we do. Actually, that the National Cannabis Festival is where we kind of secondly introduce what we're doing on a big platform, and we have the opportunity. Well, I have the opportunity to be on stage with my brothers Wu-Tang 420 in DC, and we plan on being out there making some noise. At the end of the day, it's about making noise. It's about bringing awareness to the situation. We're going to use my platform to promote descheduling, and I always bring my sister up to say some words. We know that people's attention spans are very short, so we use that platform, and any platform when I come out, even with my own music, when I do interviews, it will be bringing awareness to what we're doing, because it's like you need these kind of platforms, especially with me, to kind of get through, to resonate. This is like the National Cannabis Festival is like a platform where I can resonate with real legacy people, not just another event where a gang of MSOs, a gang of CEOs cannabis.
Yeah.
This is a National Cannabis Festival where people will be using cannabis recreationally and medically, but we have the opportunity to talk to real legacy people at this show. So yes, it's definitely needed. And we're going to take the stage and we're going to kill shit like we do every year.
and Redman, I got a little point of trivia here. So knowing that you and Method, of course, we have How High, and we have, of course, Cheech and Chong on the other thing. We're Up in Smoke. Has there ever been a little collaboration in terms of talking about what you guys have both done in the cannabis space? Curious.
Between us or
but between, let's say, with Tommy Child, for instance. Go ahead.
I actually did I actually had a radio show with LL. He gave me my own show on Rock the Bells, and I actually had Tommy Chung on my show.
Wow.
And we really just talked. We really was just kicking the shit about where he's at in life, and but it just feels good to see that he's still very supportive of the cannabis industry, not recreational, but also they're doing their own
correct
events and kind of awareness to bring to let people know the injustice of cannabis industry and about smoking. So they're still very active. Like they are still very active. So yeah, I always learn something from Tommy and both of them. Like I learn a lot from them, but I know that they look at us like me, Snoop, Dogs, Meth, Be Real. They look at us as the new founding fathers, and they actually passed us the torch. So it's actually, honestly, it's like how we go about it. Like I'm 10 toes down for this industry. I let people know, like, listen, I had an opportunity to make money off this plant, but I didn't. Will I make money off this plant later on? Yes, I will, because now I've gained the trust of the people to treat this plant right, not just to use my fame, just to capitalize off the plant, but to help people first. And then once I help people and they understand what we're doing, then we can initiate some great products medically, because I'm not looking to release any products just for recreational. I want to be able to have products where a person can come up to me and say, I got HIV. What kind of plant that I could smoke that'll help alleviate that pain? And I want to be in that kind of form of support for the cannabis industry. So yes, shout out to Cheech and Chong. Shout out to my brother Be Real, Snoop, Meth, and Wiz Khalifa and Currency, all the new guys that we're passing the torch to as well. I want to let them know, like, this is a fight. The fight don't stop. I know you guys might make money from it, but it's a bigger picture than just making money. It's a lot of just going on. And if you guys want to join in to help the fight, it'll even grow it. It'll even amplify the words of these people.
Beautiful. Night Watchman, with that, buddy, I know you can take us home, right?
Well, before we go home, we got to tell people that they need to go to UnitedEmpowermentParty.org.
Yep.
What can you do when you get there? Number one, you can register with them. You can also, there's a link where you can register to vote. And like I said, your registering is your first power move, because in being registered, you're being the numbers. Now, we're not even getting into who to vote for yet, because who to vote for, is who is going to come across with what we need to advance this plant and advance the industry. And so those are conversations we'll have later, but the conversation for now is, number one, registering to vote. Number two, signing up on UnitedEmpowermentParty.org. Number three, if you have a little money, little change left over, you hit the lottery or something like that, you want to hit that donate button, because this organization needs strength in numbers. A little bit. You got a little bit. You don't have to go outside your budget, but go hit that button, put some money in it and tell your friends, because they've been working.
That's right.
That's right. As Red said, it's about the green. About the green, baby.
It's about the green.
Hey, listen, at the end of the day, like I told Sis, man, look, put $5 on it. We're not asking for $100. Right. Let's take it back to that song. I got $5 on it. Put $5 on it.
Yeah, who got $5 on it?
Yeah.
Exactly. $5 to anyone is just like, okay, well, to some, but majority of the people can afford $5. Put $5 on it.
Yes, they can.
Right.
And
some of you can put $5 a week on it.
exactly.
Drink one less Starbucks.
Right.
Put that towards something that's going to
That's
do
right.
something.
One less latte.
One less latte.
And the most important thing that we stress is that no matter whether you legacy or MSO, let us fight for these causes that you guys don't want to fight for or is not even aware or educated about. Let us fight. We'll take the heat. We need your support. We're not making money off this plant, and we're not in competition with nobody because there's no platform that's like us. So don't be afraid to donate and think we're being competition with you. We're not capitalizing off the plant. We don't deal with the plant at all. We just deal with the plant politically and freeing it. We're not selling the cannabis, so you don't have to worry about if we have better product than you. None of that. So we want to say that. I say that because we want to leave all the pride and animosity out of it, of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we need to educate the people on what we're doing is not dealing with the plant directly, but politically and freeing it. So we're not in competition. We're not in any way subjected to try to take over your business with or outshine your business. We want to help the business thrive. So please join the website and put 5 on it. Drop 5 on it. Just a blunt. A blunt will cost $5.
Now,
Red, well said, baby.
If you really want to get involved, if you really want to go hard in the paint, you need to talk to your elected officials.
That's
and
right.
you need to talk to them about descheduling. Now, what's happening with the descheduling? We've had 12 senators who've already come out in a letter saying we got to do this now. We had Senator Gillibrand from New York. We had Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey. So East Coast is representing. There's 10 others out there, so now is the time. So, I've heard things that over the next 90 days or so, they're going to make a decision on it. They're trying to water it down and say, well, rescheduling, it moves it in the right direction. It doesn't move it far enough. It leaves people in harm's way. And we're tired of leaving people in harm's way. We can't do that again. We're fighting for people like Sephida's daughter. We're fighting because there's a Sephida's daughter in every community in this country. So we're fighting for older people. We're fighting, cannabis
veterans
is used, people who have terminal illnesses and use cannabis to ease their pain as they're transitioning out. People don't think about things like that, and they can't use it because they're in NYCHA housing and they may lose the apartment. It's ridiculous. We're not doing it anymore. So that's all we got to say.
Yep.
We're out of time. Sorry, Matt Damon. Man. We will see you guys again back on Soul Lounge Prime Time on the new upcoming Cannabis New York podcast. And
indeed.
Thank you. First of all, we want to thank you from the community, from the culture, for the work you guys have put in the work since 2021, and we're seeing the fruits of your labor. So we salute you.
Salute you guys. Yes. All right.
That's it. So my final words, you've been listening to Soul Lounge Primetime on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem, also live streaming on Facebook and YouTube and on all your favorite podcast platforms. You can find us every Monday night, 7 o'clock on the radio, 8 o'clock live streaming. So come back, and we got something next week that's so powerful, we don't even know what it is yet.
Exactly.
Sephida, remember, not Wakanda, baby, not Wakanda.